I couldn't stop crying until the end of the day.
A community is grieving tonight following a shooting that killed 2 high school students and left a third in critical condition.
He was just a good kid, you know, he would do anything for his family.
How family and loved ones are remembering those teens tonight.
My vote right now is no.
Salt Lake County's mask mandate will stay in effect after a vote today.
I'm not a fan of government mandates, but we have to do something.
And new tonight, the fight against the health order may not be over yet.
And as the Omicron variant surges in Utah, the state's plan of attack is changing.
It's not working with Omicron.
Why lawmakers are putting the test-to-stay policy in schools on hold.
Tracking hazy conditions here along the Wasatch Front today, but I have some great news. The timing of a system that'll improve our air, and also, will we have any precipitation on the way?
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tragedy in West Valley City today. 3 teens shot, 2 of them are dead. Tonight we're learning the names of those victims. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. 15-year-old Paul Tahi and 14-year-old Tavani Lopati were killed in today's shooting. The third victim is in critical condition right now. The Granite School District identifying him in a statement tonight as Ephraim Asiata. Fox 13 News also confirming tonight Ephraim is the son of former University of Utah football star and former NFL player Matt Asiata. All 3 boys attended Hunter High School. The violence took place on a sidewalk at 4100 South and Mountain View Corridor right around 10:40 this morning. West Valley City Police say a 14-year-old male believed to be the shooter has been booked into juvenile detention, and the gun believed to have been used in the shooting has been recovered. 3 other teens have been questioned and released. Fox 13's Spencer Joseph has been on scene all day. Spencer has talked to several family members and he's witnessed the emotion there tonight. Spencer.
Yeah, certainly incredibly emotional out here. The families are just devastated. Both of these families very closely intertwined as well. A lot of them know each other very, very well. Now, if you were with us on Live at 5:30, you saw right where I'm standing, the police line lift, and all of those family members traveled a few hundred feet behind me to the spot where this happened. Now, we did follow them down there and spoke with many of them who say tonight was so important to say goodbye to their loved ones.
This gathering, it really means a lot to me to show that our community could come together no matter what happens. You know, no matter the drama or the ups and downs, you know, we'll always come back together.
Family, friends, and classmates gathered in the exact spot where 2 Hunter High School students, Paul Tuputai and Tiavani Lopati, were shot and killed, along with a third being seriously injured. Throughout the day, countless people watched on at the crime scene tape, waiting for the moment where they could visit the spot where this happened and pay their respects.
My brother was just a good kid, you know, he would do anything for his family, and I guess one of the best memories of him is whenever you needed him, he was always there.
This is Seppi Lokotui. She was very close with Paul, so close she calls him brother, and along with his other sisters and family, they mourned his loss.
I love you, man. We love you, Paul.
Tiavani and Paul were close, playing football together at Hunter High School, and family tells us they always watched out for each other and for others.
My little brother would always tell me about T. Lopati, and I knew that whatever they needed or whatever anybody else needed, they were always there, no matter what.
It was crazy when I found out. I was in class, and you know, I couldn't stop crying until the end of the day.
Another family member told us he took inspiration often from the pair.
I remember all the words and everything that they did for me that kept me going, and it's gonna keep me going.
And when asked his favorite memory.
My favorite memory, honestly, everything. He was there for me when I needed him.
So as the scars run deep for this tight-knit community, they say together they will continue to pull strength from each other. And for Paul's family, they had this message to their brother.
I hope you come and visit me sometimes, or I hope to see you again. I love you so much. Love you, brother.
Those flowers you just saw are part of a small memorial that's growing behind me a few hundred feet in the spot where this happened. Now, grief counselors have been made available to Hunter High School students as well as to the family through the police department. Of course, if we learn any new details as this is a developing story, we will share them with you. Live in West Valley City, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you. Granite School District spokesman Ben Horsley says 4 schools were put on shelter-in-place orders moments after the shooting. Hunter High School was locked down for several hours. Utah Governor Spencer Cox released a statement on Twitter saying, "Our prayers are with the victims, the families, students, and everyone impacted by this senseless act of violence."
Fox 13 News will continue following this story and have the very latest details on air and always online at fox13now.com.
In other news today, in a 5-4 vote, the Salt Lake County Council upheld the mask mandate issued by the county health department last Friday.
And now there could be other avenues local lawmakers are pursuing to get rid of the mandate. Fox 13's Emily Tenser was at this afternoon's meeting and has more tonight.
The way the voting played out, it all came down to 4-4, with Chair Lori Stringham having to break that tie. Emotions were high inside, not just for people who were there who are passionate about this topic, but for council members too.
And they feel like they're government leaders.
Surrounded in a room full of thumbs downs and crowds of maskless Utahns pushing for choice, the Salt Lake County Council votes the mandate is here to stay.
So my vote right now is no, but I will be meeting with state leaders on Monday and see what we can come up with. And if we can come up with a plan, I will call another meeting and we will overturn this. Thank you.
Council members knew it was going to be a close vote, and they were right. Here's the breakdown, with Bradley, Bradshaw, Granado, Stringham, and Winder Newton voting to keep it, and Alvord, DeBry, Snellgrove, and Theodore trying to overturn it.
I would wonder what information my colleagues feel like they have that the people don't have, because I feel like in this instance, the people are very well informed. They made their will very well known to me, at least.
Before the meeting began, both sides were outside the building making their stance clear. Those in favor of the mandate think now is not the time to relax measures.
It's time that we join together and work to get through the next few hard weeks. I'm not a fan of government mandates, but we have to do anything to slow down the spread.
Others say it's up to the person, not the county.
People who want to do their part, they're going to do their part. People who are not willing to wear a mask, they're not going to wear a mask. And I don't think that really has a bearing on their sense of community. I just think it's their personal choice.
The vote comes on the same day Utah hits a record-breaking daily case count. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson released a statement after the emergency meeting saying, quote, "I'm very hopeful that we will see a rapid decline and that we will have a healthier spring ahead. But in the meantime, we must all do our part." There's been some talk by state legislators that they might try to overturn the mandate if the council here failed to do so. We reached out to a handful of senators for comment, but we have yet to hear anything back. Reporting at the Salt Lake County building, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Nearly 13,000 Utahns tested positive for the virus in the past day. That is another new record for the 3rd day in a row. Hospitalizations also continue to rise. 638 COVID patients are in the hospital. 182 of them are in the ICU.
64% of Utahns ages 5 and older are fully vaccinated, and 72% of adults as well. That's after a little more than 12,200 Utahns were vaccinated yesterday. Tomorrow, Utah Governor Spencer Cox and other state leaders will have an update on the current COVID-19 situation caused by the Omicron variant. That will happen again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We will have that update for you live on Good Day Utah.
It was a hazy day today in northern Utah. This is drone video shot by Scott Taylor this afternoon. But guess what? Better air quality is on the way.
That's some good news. Let's hear it from Utah's Weather Authority, Allison Krogan.
Yes, the best news of all. The bad news is it's not going to last forever with the improvement, but it's going to be better than it is tonight. Logan down through Perry, we're tracking mostly unhealthy for sensitive groups here along the Wasatch Front, down through Layton and across the Salt Lake Valley. Once you get into Utah County, mostly moderate air quality this evening for Lehigh, Provo, Spanish Fork, and down in into Payson. Temperatures today were a little bit warmer up in the Cottonwood Canyons this afternoon, made it into the 40s at Alta, but right now 31 for Alta, and it's 1 degree warmer here in Salt Lake. So it's always interesting to point out those mountain temps when we've got those inverted temperatures. 30 degrees for Draper right now, 32 for Harriman, 32 for Provo, 34 for Farmington, and across southern Utah, St. George and Cedar City, low 40s currently, in the 20s currently for Vernal and Price. We do have satellite and radar, mostly cloudy sky from about Utah County south. Tomorrow morning, dry roads, mostly cloudy. First thing tomorrow morning around freezing for the drive-in and the drive home. Let's talk about an improvement to our air quality, how long that will last, coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
Tonight, in a Fox 13 News investigation, more allegations of unethical behavior on the part of the Utah County Attorney have come to light.
Once he's told his staff, wink, wink, I want you to handle this case a particular way.
What we've learned.
The U.S. Supreme Court shuts down the president's vaccine mandate for larger companies, but not everyone is pleased with the decision. What Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes has to say.
And it is back after taking a year off due to the pandemic. We take you to where the cars are the stars at the Utah International Auto Expo.
It's a rough stretch for the Jazz. Luckily, they have 3 days before their next game. We'll hear from Donovan Mitchell after another disappointing loss.
Dale Bowles is a non-violent guy who's just trying to get to work.
Did you wall yourself off from the case?
I don't know.
Do you think you should have?
No, I don't.
Whoa, really? He really said that? He really did that? Like, really? In front of people?
The Fox 13 News investigative team has spoken with at least 6 past and present members of the Utah County Attorney's Office who are deeply concerned, quote unquote, by what they describe as unethical behavior by their boss. Last week, County Attorney David Levitt was accused of dismissing a stalking charge against his friend and campaign donor.
Now, employees say Levitt also asked them to go easy on a handyman who did work at the county attorney's home. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz picks up the story from there.
I ran on a platform to change the culture of the Utah County Attorney's Office. Have I done anything wrong? Not at all.
Prosecutors say they knew when David Levitt was elected Utah County Attorney, it would fundamentally change the way some cases are handled.
It's not my case, it's his case. It belongs to him.
But prosecutors like Lance Bastian, who have since left the office, say what they did not like was when Levitt would intervene on cases where he had a personal relationship, starting in 2018 with the traffic case of a handyman who worked at Levitt's home, a man who has been booked more than 40 times by the Utah County Sheriff's Office.
Among my very first meetings was to say, let me tell you about Dale Bowles.
He said, that gentleman and I have kind of a personal relationship. He's done a lot of work for me at my home. He's kind of a handyman.
And I said, how in the world are we helping society by taking a person like this and continuing to keep them down and down and down?
Once he's told his staff, wink, wink, I want you to handle this case a particular way, that probably created a personal conflict of interest for all of his staff.
Linda Smith is an attorney and member of the Utah State Bar Ethics Advisory Opinion Committee. She says Levitt should have never used his friend or employee's case as an example of the office's new policies.
It blew me away. It blew everybody away. I mean, that was all anybody could talk about for the rest of the day because it was so wildly inappropriate.
But that is not how Levitt sees it. While some say the personal relationship means he should have steered clear, he says that's why he brought it up, as part of a bigger policy discussion.
I used the Dale Bowles example because I'm so intimately involved with that example. I encourage my prosecutors to get as close to every case as they possibly can.
Pick up another file from the office and learn the facts and use that as an example. Let the staff put 2 and 2 together.
Bowles was charged with driving on a suspended license, an interlock violation, and driving with a broken headlight. All charges, except for the broken headlight, were dismissed. The prosecutor assigned to the case tells Fox 13 without Levitt's speech, the case probably would have had a different outcome.
He said he handled the case differently based on that meeting.
Well, I hope he did. I wish that everyone would have taken the lesson from that meeting and treated every case differently.
In 2020, Bowles was charged with possession of meth, but this time Levitt said it would have been a conflict for his office to prosecute, so he gave the case to Salt Lake County. He says the reason the result was different is because the case was different.
You're dealing with the difference between a felony and a minor traffic violation.
Does the bar discriminate on conflicts of interest, whether it's an infraction, a misdemeanor, or a felony?
I don't think so, but the difference here, Adam, is this. I didn't make a specific decision on the traffic case.
The appearance of a conflict can't be. Right? It destroys any public confidence in our justice system, in the ability of a prosecutor to do justice.
Reporting in Utah County, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Vaccine and testing mandates for more than 80 million workers at large companies nationwide have now been blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court. That delivered a damaging blow to President Biden's efforts to mandate COVID-19 vaccines nationwide. The Supreme Court blocked the administration's emergency rule requiring private companies with 100 or more employees to have their workforces fully vaccinated or tested weekly.
Private employers can choose to have a vaccine mandate. They can choose to have a vaccine or test mandate. But what the Supreme Court said today is the federal government cannot force them to do that.
However, the Supreme Court did hand a win to the Biden administration, allowing a nationwide vaccine mandate for certain healthcare workers to go into effect.
Bob, shortly after the ruling, Utah's Attorney General Sean Reyes did make a statement sharing that he had mixed reaction today, saying, quote, "The Supreme Court's rejection of the OSHA mandate is a true victory for all Americans who believe in the rule of law. We are extremely disappointed, however, in the court's decision involving healthcare workers. As the four dissenting justices correctly note, a hodgepodge of statutes does not authorize the secretary to force healthcare workers to undergo a medical procedure."
Well, it was a gorgeous day up in the mountains. This is a picture today from Allen Day, Timpanogos off in the distance. And this is from our Facebook page. You can search Utah's Weather Authority. We do daily weather discussions, and we also get great pictures like this coming in almost every single hour. We have high pressure. That was our main story today, but we do have a front that's moving through tonight, a mainly dry front. So that means our air quality for tomorrow will be an improvement. Take a look at your screen all along the Wasatch Front. We're tracking moderate air for tomorrow for Cache, Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, Utah counties, Box Elder, and Twilla, and into the Uinta Basin. Now, as far as our actions go for tomorrow, we still have mandatory action for Salt Lake, for Davis and Salt Lake counties, and then for Cache and Twilla counties, we also have mandatory action for tomorrow. So what that means is don't idle your car, carpool if you can, try to combine your trips so you're not having less of cold starts, and you'll have a cold start temperature-wise tomorrow morning. Right now, though, not too bad. It's about 32 degrees for Salt Lake, 28 for Twilla, 22 for Logan, a little bit cooler when you first wake up tomorrow morning. But overall, St. George, you had a nice day today, 43 degrees currently as we're getting ready for bed. And our temperatures today made it into the low 40s. 43 was our high. A typical high this time of year is 38. Tomorrow is going to be closer to average. So overnight temps, upper 20s here in Salt Lake, mostly clear sky. Here's what you need to know. Your top weather headlines. Our air quality is improving. It was hazy today. We have a mainly dry cold front for tonight. Southern Utah will have gusty conditions tomorrow ahead of that front approaching. And tonight we'll still have some areas of patchy fog possible. So overnight temps, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Low 20s or in the teens for Park City and Logan and Evanston. For Provo, 24 degrees tomorrow morning. And for Ogden, upper 20s. Salt Lake just right below freezing at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then by tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we're in the upper 30s for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. So about 5 degrees cooler than it was today with an improvement to our air quality. As far as precipitation goes, bulk of that stays off to our north. There's really not going to be a whole lot out of that system, but some colder air aloft will help mix out some of the inversions that have developed. Then by the middle of next week, by next Wednesday into Thursday, about the 20th of January, so still a week out, we're going to have the chance for a few more storms to enter here across Utah. Until then, more high pressure. St. George very comfortable through MLK Day. No travel impacts this weekend with dry roads, close to 60 degrees through your 7-day forecast for St. George. Here along the Wasatch Front, we have upper 30s tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday, low 40s. Same thing for MLK Day. And then middle of next week, we'll see some additional clouds and potentially some more chances for precipitation. We'll talk more about that coming up in the Super 7-day forecast.
Looks like a pretty steady forecast there. Allison, thank you. Still ahead, updates on 2 Utahns who have pleaded guilty to charges stemming from the U.S. Capitol riot last year.
When you can't watch Fox 13 News Live, watch us streaming online for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device.
A Utah woman has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of parading, demonstrating, or picketing in the Capitol building in connection with the U.S. Capitol insurrection last year.
In her hearing today, 56-year-old Janet Bueller of Kaysville said she went to the Capitol that day because she thought Congress was not listening to concerns about election fraud. She admitted cheering as rioters broke in and went into the building with her stepson-in-law, Michael Lee Hardin, also from Utah, because he wanted to take a picture. She'll be sentenced June 1st and could face 6 months in prison.
Federal prosecutors want a 24-year-old Sandy man to serve 3 months in prison for rioting at the U.S. Capitol. In their written request, prosecutors included these new photos showing the American flag Jacob Weidrich stole at the insurrection. The FBI executed a search warrant in July. They found the flag folded in a chest in Weidrich's bedroom. In asking for prison, prosecutors cited the theft, as well as how Weidrich was one of the first rioters to enter the Senate wing and how he yelled profanity at police. A judge in Washington, D.C. will decide Weidrich's sentence next Wednesday.
Coming up after the break.
The test to stay plan for Utah schools is on hold.
And it worked really well for COVID 1 and 2, if you want to call it that.
Why that decision was made as the Omicron variant surges.
Prices are on the rise, but not in the same way for all of us. Coming up, we'll show you whether the current inflation is hitting you harder than your neighbors.
It's a busy night for college basketball, including BYU at number 2 Gonzaga. I'll have the highlights coming up.
We do have an update this half hour to our top story of the tragic shooting in West Valley City that claimed the lives of 2 teens and left a 3rd teen in critical condition.
During an emergency meeting tonight to discuss distance learning in the Granite School District, the superintendent talked about the victims who all attended Hunter High School.
I would just simply request your thoughts and your prayers on behalf of these families, but not just these families, the students at that school, the staff, the administrators, and the community in general, as we all are mourning this tragedy.
As we mentioned at the top of the news hour, 15-year-old Paul Tahi and 14-year-old Tivani Lopati were killed in today's shooting. The 3rd victim, Ephraim Asiata, remains in critical condition. Fox 13 News also confirming tonight Ephraim is the son of former University of Utah football star and former NFL player Matt Asiata.
There is a change in plans for Utah as the state deals with the Omicron variant of COVID-19. On Utah's Capitol Hill, lawmakers are dropping plans to carry out COVID testing in schools and allowing classrooms to shift to online learning.
This is a big change. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has more.
The governor, House, and Senate Republican leaders and the state school superintendent sent this letter to districts statewide announcing a 2-week pause in test to stay. Given the unique characteristics of the Omicron variant, the availability of vaccinations, and developing guidance from health authorities, it is necessary to step back from test to stay programs, allowing the Utah Department of Health to devote its testing resources to congregate care facilities, long-term care facilities, and community testing sites. What that means is schools can pivot to online learning if they want.
Giving them the discretion over the next 2 weeks to go to remote learning. If they hit the test to stay threshold, and their school board says that that's okay for that school.
The legislature implemented Test to Stay as a way to keep kids in the classroom, pivoting to online learning once a school hit a threshold for positive COVID cases. But with record-breaking cases every day, Utah's testing capabilities for COVID-19 are pretty much maxed out.
Test to Stay was meant to be an early intervention to help reduce the spread of COVID, and it worked really well for COVID 1 and 2, if you want to call it that. But it's not working with Omicron.
When the legislature meets in session starting next week, the speaker says they'll either pause Test to Stay or sunset the legislation. The state is also planning new strategies and guidance for the public on living with Omicron.
The crux of it is, if you're symptomatic, stay home for 5 days. There's not enough tests coming to us from Washington to even test everyone that needs it right now. And we just need everyone to be really pragmatic about what the right steps are in terms of managing the spread of Omicron.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In a statement, the Utah Education Association says it appreciates the temporary remote learning exception, but the closed to stay open strategy only works if the entire community is committed to reducing COVID cases by following recommendations from health experts. The UEA goes on to say the workload heaped on educators is staggering, and they're struggling to meet the needs of students as well as attending to personal and family health situations. They call for better sick leave and paid leave time and qualified substitutes.
Just hours before the pause on Utah's Test to Stay program, hundreds of students were tested in school today, while others decided to go to remote learning. The Granite School District had been seeing a 20% infection rate with these new protocols, and it's not just the COVID surge in students that's buckling the system. High case rates, along with many students absent and staffing shortages, led to the Alpine School District to shift to remote learning starting tomorrow.
550 of our teachers absent. 216 of them were not filled with substitute teachers because we don't have the substitutes.
That's tough. In Salt Lake City, East, West, and Highland High schools have all met the Test to Stay threshold. They're now going virtual tomorrow and Tuesday with the hope to return back to in-class, in-person learning on Wednesday. And as you just heard, the Alpine School District will do the same. The Jordan District announced today it is going fully remote for the days they're in session next week. And Granite School District will do remote learning beginning next Tuesday through Friday.
You can track the COVID-19 cases at schools around the state at fox13now.com. Scanning the QR code on your screen right now will take you to our resource page. There you'll find information about school-specific case numbers. In other news tonight, crews were called out to a house fire in Harriman. It was near 5100 West Emmeline Drive. Crews were able to get everyone out of the house safely. So far, no word on a cause or how much damage was done.
One man is now in critical condition after being hit by a car in Magna. Police tell us they were called out around 6:40 this evening to the intersection of 8000 West and 2565 South. We're told the driver did stay on scene and is cooperating with police. Witnesses say the victim was in a crosswalk at the time of the accident. However, there are only dim lights in the area.
New tonight, we have learned that a Murray woman whose condo caught fire early this morning has died. The fire at the Three Fountains complex forced some residents to evacuate. Crews from Unified Fire and Murray rescued the woman from her home. She was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation, where we are told she passed away. The fire also killed her 2 dogs. The cause of this fire is still under investigation.
Last night, Fox 13 told you about a review finding 2 Moab police officers did not follow the law and made other mistakes in not citing Gabby Petito for domestic violence on August 12th. The stop made national headlines after Petito went missing 12 days later. She was eventually found strangled to death in Wyoming. The only person capable of explaining what happened was her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, who was involved in that domestic dispute in Moab and then who later died by suicide in Florida. Today, the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition did issue a statement on that review. It reads in part, bidirectional violence is common. However, when females use hands in self-defense, it is typically in the form of scratches. There are times when someone who has been a victim responds in the same manner in which their abuser treats them. The statement goes on to say, officers Pratt and Robbins provided a swift response to the call, took the time to attempt to understand the totality of the current and past relations between Petito and Laundrie, and appeared to show compassion, kindness, and professionalism. You can read the full statement and more about Moab's review on our website, fox13now.com.
Coming up, inflation is impacting nearly everything. But what products are driving it? We'll go in depth on the big culprits.
And coming up, a front is going to move through Utah tonight. So what does that mean for our valley inversions, and will we see any precipitation? Your forecast is coming up.
Earlier this week, we learned inflation hit an annual rate of 7%. The last time inflation hit that number was 1982.
It's been a while. Going in depth for us tonight, Fox 13's Max Roth takes a look at which products are sending prices so high.
As consumers, we all live with different realities. If you are a smoking meat eater in the market for a new gas-powered car, you're experiencing inflation way above 7%. But if you're a bike-riding, non-smoking vegetarian, prices aren't up so much.
Inflation is measured in three broad sectors: food, energy, and other items and services. And while significant inflation does exist in all of them, energy at 29% is clearly driving the trend as the only broad sector surpassing that annual rate of 7%, seen from December of 2021 to December 2022. So here are the different subcategories of energy. Gasoline is the biggest factor, and that's especially true in Utah, where fuel oil is not commonly used for home heating, though the price of natural gas has risen far more than the overall inflation number of 7%. Meat and egg products and limited service meals and snacks, in other words, fast food, are the two subcategories in the food sector with inflation over 7%. And among the other subcategories, new and used vehicles and tobacco are the only products exceeding that 7% inflation number.
Some of you are experiencing much higher inflation because you drive a lot or smoke a lot or eat a lot of takeout. And many of you are experiencing inflation closer to 4 or 5%. That's still high, but not quite as dire. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, still ahead, we'll explain a new bill introduced ahead of the legislative session that hunters will want to know about.
BYU is playing number 2 Gonzaga right now. I'll have the highlights coming up in sports. And the only child's headed back to Utah to continue his professional career. I'll tell you about the trade to bring him home.
Welcome back, everyone. A new bill in the legislature would allow you to donate meat from hunting to food pantries. Brigham City Representative Joel Ferry's bill has a long list of criteria, such as the meat has to come from a harvested animal in good health, it cannot be roadkill, and the Department of Agriculture and Food can inspect it, but it's viewed as a way of getting more protein to people in need.
Hundreds of fish eggs are now in classrooms around the state as part of the Trout in the Classroom program. There are dozens of Utah schools participating. Each got about 150 rainbow trout eggs today, provided by the Division of Wildlife Resources. The students get to raise the fish, watch them hatch from fertilized eggs, and grow to about 2 inches over the next 4 months.
They're learning about the relationship between clean air, clean water, and healthy fish and healthy animal populations. And seeing it in real time in their classrooms just makes it more impactful.
When the trout are big enough in the spring, the students will take them to an approved pond or lake and release them into the wild.
The Utah Division of Wildlife Resources wants you to catch more fish at Spring Lake near Payson. The city is draining the lake soon to make repairs, so beginning today and lasting until mid-March, anglers can catch and keep 8 fish instead of just the 2. That was the old rule. Carp, though, if you're into carp, those remain unlimited. Carp have it easy, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're the lucky
Nobody
guys.
likes them.
DWR is encouraging Utahns to take advantage of this so the fish aren't wasted. After the repairs are done and the pond is filled back up, the DWR will restock it with several species of fish. Well, supply chain problems have cut back on new cars, and you can see it at your dealer.
That's right. But as Fox 13's Brian Champagne shows us, the Auto Expo this weekend could be your chance to finally see some new wheels up close and in person.
They're rolling out the road carpet, bringing in cars old and new, and setting up the signs for the Utah Auto Expo in Sandy.
We have hundreds of different cars, new models that have never been seen before with the public.
You can get a look at the latest electrics, including the Ford Lightning and its Frunk, and the Aria.
This is the all-electric crossover from Nissan coming out later this year, so consumers are getting a sneak peek of it here at the show.
Product specialists are here for questions.
Not only does it have a new look, but it has a new transmission as well. It's a 9-speed automatic transmission, which is fully capable of towing up to 6,000 pounds.
And know almost everything about their cars and trucks.
We could have someone like an engineer come in that can ask a very highly intelligent question that could stump us, so it happens from time to time.
With so many cars and trucks to see, like the new Toyota Tundra and how it's built, it's a good place to ponder your serious decisions.
Oftentimes people have an idea of what they're looking for, before they come here, and then they get and see something different, and they say, wow, I'm glad I came because that helped me make my decision.
With supply chain problems these days, having so many models to look at and touch before ordering is a rare opportunity. You will have to wear a mask. You don't have to wear a jacket. Brian Champagne, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Always a fun show. It does open tomorrow at 11 a.m. and then 10 a.m. on Saturday through Monday, which is the holiday. Tickets are $10 for adults, $6 for children.
Well, going indoors is not a bad idea, not only because of the temperatures, but we've had kind of some hazy air, and I'm feeling a little scratchy in the throat. Aren't you feeling it, Cal?
Uh-oh.
A little bit? Am I the only one? Come on.
You hesitate to say that. Oh, there's something in the air that's
I know
scratching my
anymore.
foot these days.
No, you're out. I'm sorry. You're out. Yeah.
Well, we have had poor air quality, so yes, might want to get that checked out, but for a lot of people it is just because of our air quality right now. Here's a great picture from our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is called Utah's Weather Authority. This was sent in from Monticello. Kaylee, stunning picture. Love this. Beautiful clouds, a little bit of snow still on the ground, and we have some colder temperature and better air on the way. Thank goodness. So here we had high pressure dominating today. We've got an area of low pressure now, a little shortwave trough that's going to knock our temperatures down a little bit for tomorrow. 32 here in Salt Lake right now, 31 for Ogden, and 32 for Provo. First thing tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock as you're waking up, upper 20s for Salt Lake, Provo, and Ogden. We're going to clear some of the clouds out. Partly cloudy sky for many of you when you first wake up tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow at 2 o'clock, our daytime highs will be a few degrees cooler than today. So we'll stay in the upper 30s during the second half of the day tomorrow. St. George, you're close to 60 degrees Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and MLK Day. In fact, you're close to 60 degrees for your entire 7-day forecast. Here along the Wasatch Front, we're going to be very consistent over the next couple of days as well. But for Friday in our super 7-day forecast, here's what you need to know. We do have temperatures first thing tomorrow morning that'll be in the upper 20s, and then we're back close to 40 degrees right after lunchtime tomorrow, and then around freezing at 7 o'clock on your Friday night. But we'll have an improvement to our air quality, which I'm really excited about. Colder air aloft as this shortwave trough moves in. A mainly dry cold front moves across the state, so that's why our temperatures are a little bit cooler tomorrow. We'll mix out some of those valley inversions, if not completely clear them. By Saturday, 41 degrees for a high here in Salt Lake. We're going to have air quality for Friday and Saturday, forecast to be moderate with mandatory action for the Wasatch Front. By Sunday, 40 degrees for a high. Monday, 42. And let's take a look at those headlines as we head into next week. So we'll have dry weather for MLK Day on Monday, so no travel impacts for any road trips here across the state. High pressure quickly rebuilds starting this weekend, so we're going to have more haze in the forecast, so the valley inversions will return or continue if they're not mixed out completely for tomorrow. By next Tuesday, partly cloudy sky, 43 degrees for a high. Take a look at your chance of precipitation over the next several days. It's pretty low, so it's a mainly dry cold front tonight. Could see a few areas of light flurries, mainly for the mountains, but overall, limited chances for precipitation throughout our 7-day forecast. And then by next Tuesday night, I should say, we'll see some widely scattered chances for precipitation. Next Wednesday, additional cloud cover, 43 degrees for high. We might see a few light showers out of the middle of next week. We do have the chance for some more storms to develop. They're just not looking very promising. And by next Thursday, 43 degrees for a high here in Salt Lake City.
BYU has played well this season. Some nice wins over teams like San Diego State, Oregon, and Utah in the preseason, but now they're facing their toughest challenge against number 2 Gonzaga. BYU's Caleb Lohner said this game would show the team just where they're at. First half, after getting a steal, Lohner rattles in the 3 in the corner. The Cougars started the game on a 7-0 run, but the Bulldogs answered right back with a 10-0 run of their own. 3 from Julian Strother. Alex Barcelo nearly lost this one in traffic, but just ended up just fine. Knocks down the 3. Here's another 3 from the Cougars. This one from Tejon Lucas. The Cougars were battling tough, down 6 midway through the half, but a 15-2 run by the Bulldogs has them in control. They lead by 13 late in the first half. Weber State played at home against Idaho. The Wildcats active on the defensive end. Colby McEwen with the steal takes it in for 2 of his 12 points. Then it's J.J. Overton, the steal, and how quick is he? Right to the other end. 18 points. So did Soho Jawara. Weber State won at 84-74. They're 4-1 in Big Sky play. 18th ranked BYU women jumped all over St. Mary's at the Marriott Center. Start with Lauren Guston in the corner. 3 of her 15 points. The Salem made it out of 12 rebounds as well. Then the give and go. Tegan Graham right back to Paisley Harding, capping a 24-5 opening quarter for the Cougars. Graham back-to-back threes to start the second, while Harding led BYU with 18. The Gales only had 10 points total at the half. BYU won up by 42 to improve to 13-1 on the season. Salt Lake City Stars acquired the rights for Yoli Childs, a 6'8" forward, went undrafted by the NBA in 2020 after an outstanding career at BYU and Bingham High School. The NBA G League affiliate of the Utah Jazz sent the rights of Yogi Ferrell and a 2020 first-round pick to the Washington Wizards affiliate to get Childs, who most recently played in Germany. Boy, the Jazz could have used Yoli last night. They did not have a center against the Cavaliers, with Rudy Gobert and his backups all out in the NBA's health and safety protocols. The Cavaliers, on the other hand, had 3 7-footers in their starting lineup and eventually wore down the smaller Jazz to a 20-point win. The Jazz have now lost 4 in a row.
We competed in club, but when they have 60, I think it was 60 second chance points or something like that, there's 3-footers out there. We're doing our best competing, but at some point in time, that's going to give. But, there's things to take away from here, good and bad. But, yeah, we'll be fine.
The good news is the Jazz have 3 days off before their next game Sunday in Denver.
Oh, that should help. They just needed some more points and some more height the other night.
Yeah, that's all.
Sure.
It's the key to basketball, the key to success
height
there.
and points.
There you go.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back.
One of my favorite times, guys. Girl Scout cookie season. It's upon us.
Wow.
Yeah, this year, Bob, you can get your favorites, like always, but you can also have a new option. It's called Adventurefuls. The Girl Scouts describe the cookie as, quote, an indulgent brownie with caramel, cream, and just a hint of sea salt.
They're trying to kill me, aren't they?
Try it
They're
out.
trying to kill me.
But Cast is next.